Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Games on the Rocks, brought to you by Meeples Included. I am one of your Meeples, Stephanie Straw. I also have some lovely Meeples with me. We have Suzanne's back.
Hello! Yay! I'm so excited. I missed you guys so much.
We missed you too.
That's right. That's the right answer. Thanks for the delay there, ladies. Appreciate that.
We're like, we missed you. We're trying to read the script.
I got another script here.
Yeah. We missed you, Suzanne. You look great. I like your insert color of shirt. I like your white shirt.
And over here we have Marguerite.
Oh, hi. Hello, everybody. And I'm trying to figure out if the glare on my glasses is going to bug everybody.
Oh,
it's not bugging me, girl.
It's bugging me. And then we also have the lovely Nicole. All 4 of us are here today, Nicole.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Get your drinks ready because we've got some good chats ahead of us.
Hey, good segue. So while we're talking about drinks, the featured cocktail of tonight, and I'm going to show that on screen for everybody, is the Gin Cantaloupe Gin Cant Martini. It's 2 ounces of fresh pureed cantaloupe, 1 ounce of your favorite gin, half an ounce of elderflower liqueur, half a fresh squeezed lemon, 4 muddled mint leaves, or just some mint liqueur, and garnish with fresh cantaloupe and a mint. But what you need to do is add all of those ingredients together in a cocktail shaker and shake 3 times while repeating, "There's no place like Gen Con. There's no place like Gen Con. There's no place like Gen Con." So I have mine right here. A little piece of cantaloupe. It's good because there's food too. It's like a dinner cocktail.
Drink and snack.
We're gonna do a count in chat to see how many that Mags pulls out. So this is 1.
Oh yeah, she's probably got like 3 lined up on the table there.
She does. So
that one.
I actually also have, if I can find it quickly, here we are. I have a little toast for you ladies if you want to all raise your glasses, everyone. So here's to worker placement and drafting the best card, to taking tricks, to rolling a 6, and playing as a bard.
Cheers! Huzzah! Mazel tov.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you hate that, chat, I'll never admit making that up, ever.
It was perfect.
Mags wrote it.
Kudos, Mags. Good work.
So some of those terms, not all of them, some of those terms in that toast are worker placement, card drafting, etc. And those are common board game terms for us, board game lingo, if you will. And that brings us to our first topic. We want to talk about like a board game glossary, board game lingo, what kind of terms you use, because not everybody uses, or whenever you talk to someone that isn't as familiar with games as we are, they don't necessarily know what worker placement means. If you say, this is a worker placement game with card drafting and yada, 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 then they're like, cool, work, that sounds weird. Why are we going to work in this game?
Steph, that's something I actually really struggle with because, I do segments for the Dice Tower with about Kickstarter projects, and I only have a few minutes to convey a lot of information. And when you're talking about games, the shorthand of gaming terminology really helps me out and really helps out anybody who knows those terms. But I actually really struggle with, okay, I'm going to describe, I just have one from one day where it's like, this is a set collection and bluffing game. Now, most people understand bluffing on some level, but, how many people are going to know set collection? I'm like, I always really struggle with that. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Maybe you guys will give me some inspiration on alternates and things like that. Or maybe I shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I didn't know, when I played Catan in 2006, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know any of those terms, I really just started getting to know the terms, and this could just be coincidence, but after I started going to conventions and getting familiar with designers and publishers, and not just going, this is a game, I like this game, but this is a Ryan Lockett game, and I like Ryan Lockett games, or this game is published by blah, blah, blah. So that's about the time that I started learning those terms, because people in the industry use those terms. Designers, people in media like us. I try to like curtail those, but I mean, I can't help it whenever that's the first thing that I think of when I'm playing a game is, oh, but I really love that hidden movement. I really love that, so I want to say that.
I feel like there's games like One Night Ultimate Werewolf and Coup and Resistance and things like that where I explain them as hidden role games, but I've also seen them referred to as paranoia games or traitor games. But I feel like hidden role kind of encompasses quite a lot more than that and is a little bit more plain English, I suppose. I think usually when I say like, oh, this is like you'll get a role, it's a hidden role game, you'll keep that secret, and it's kind of fairly plain from the get-go for people to understand, and those are all really good intro games anyway. So I think maybe the only hidden role game that wouldn't be an intro one might be like Dead of Winter or Shadows over Camelot.
I wouldn't do Battlestar as an intro.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Any of those games where you really kind of need to intimately know the game to be able to play the baddie successfully.
Yeah.
Or any game that's designed to be 3+ hours.
Yeah, I think I would have like socially broke down if I had been the Cylon in my first play of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh man.
I think I would have been like, guys, we would have had to start over.
I have only played that game twice, and I wasn't a Cylon either time.
That's what a toaster would say.
Yeah, I know. I'm not the Cylon, guys. Like, what can I say? But I actually I do kind of default to playing Dark Moon now just because it is a nice streamlined kind of version of it. And I feel like it's a bit more newbie friendly. Like there's not as much intricacy to the roles perhaps, and nothing that's kind of like, oh, halfway through the game, maybe there'll be some Cylons coming in. Who knows? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
So that makes it a lot easier for an intro-ish kind of game.
Yeah, Fosware says, I call those social deduction with the hopes that people lose interest. so good. So board game, the language in Lingo could be a barrier in your favor into board games. Sure.
Unless he's just bluffing. You don't know.
Oh.
Just add another layer.
Well played.
Damn. That's like board gameception right there. I don't know, man.
Coin Flip Show says, are you trying to avoid lingo for fear of intimidating normal? And I know what you mean.
Use of normal.
Yeah, those normies, they don't know what is going on.
I know what you mean by that term.
We prefer to use the word muggles.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to separate people from people that have an intimate knowledge of board games because I think that those are still people and they like games just like we like games. But I just think there is like a moment where you're kind of like whoosh, and then you realize all this stuff. Yeah, I work in a friendly local game store, and I absolutely do try to avoid at least too much of that. I might kind of mention it. I'd try and lead with theme, even if there is a loose theme, and this is just my opinion, but like for example Splendor, I will kind of just roll with the theme. I'll say you're gem traders trying to impress nobles, and you're going to do so by on your turn you're going to get these poker chip gems, and then you're going to turn them in for these cards, which will be worth some of them victory points, some of them higher, which will be permanent gems for you to make it easier to get other cards. So I say that's engine building. And then at the end, whoever impresses the nobles the most will win the game. So that's kind of how I lead in with that, rather than saying, oh, Splendor, it's a simple engine building game, because I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, oh, so you're building an engine, right?
Right, yeah, they're literally like, it's a mechanic game? What are you doing?
I quite like to, if people say, like, I've played some games before, I often try and ask what they've played. Rather than just going like, here's some games I think are good for like introductory blah blah blah, because you never know what people have played, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of helps you, like if you're okay at thinking off the top of your head with recommendations, being able to say like, well, they like this game. This is similar. Maybe we could throw this at them. Like if they play Ticket to Ride, maybe we could say Transamerica might be a good next step for you, theme-wise, and like similarity of play and whatnot. So that helps sidestep that lingo a little bit, I feel, and I tried to do that a lot when I was working a bit in retail, talking to people about games.
I do think retail is definitely one of those ones where it's really necessary for you to kind of break down that barrier. But if you know someone is totally knows all of those terms, then sure, you can be like, hey, so you like worker placement games? Check out this one, this one, this one, and this one. These are all worker placement games. It would be like going to the liquor store and saying, I like IPAs, and they're like, cool, let me show you all the IPAs that we have. There's variations on IPAs, and there's other types of pale ales that they might like because they like an India Pale Ale. So it's kind of like that. Anthony Miller says I guess I'm rude. I just say we are playing Splendor. So you can just use no terms. Also, you can just say we are playing this game.
Yeah, I had an experience this evening. I sat down with my partner and a good friend of ours who had a friend over with him to play Sushi Go Party, which is a great card drafting game. And we were like, yeah, so you'll get this, like, a little bit like Seven Wonders. You'll get a card, like a handful of cards, and you'll draft them. He's like, I don't understand what that means. Like,
yeah, drafting is one where
drafting?
there's an alt. Like, people often will say, like, pick and pass now instead of drafting. I'm seeing that more and more, especially in some of the lighter weight games. And where the term is actually more descriptive. I mean, drafting makes sense once you put it in context.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that, like, in a way, drafting is also, like, very commonly associated with sports, which is another very insular lingo kind of group. So if you're not familiar with it from there, like, I'm going to hit a home run or whatever, it's not actually that helpful. So pick and pass, I like it when there are terms that have alternates, I guess. That's kind of cool, but...
Verbs are good. I feel like those are like the most descriptive, right? But yeah,
I prefer adverbs, but that's cool and stuff. You're all about action.
Yeah. Card drafting I've seen also referred to whenever everybody has access to a group of cards like an Elysium, and then you are taking a card because you are drafting it from a pool of cards, but it's not the same as Seven Wonders. And a Sushi Go where you're like pick and pass, like you said. So I think that is a more appropriate term for that, even though I tend to say card drafting for that. Some other terms, NPC Chris says, looking at BGG mechanics, many are self-explanatory, but then there are ones like area impulse. I'll be honest, I don't know what that means.
Area impulse.
Is that like Snap, where you're just like, I have an impulse to just like be in that area, like?
I feel Mags, do you know what area impulse is?
Weird.
Oh, Mags, you're muted, I think.
But you look good talking.
I'm muted. There
you go.
That's why I was like, why is she so silent?
I was trying because my mic likes to pick things up no matter how low I pull the gain down. I'm not figured out this mic yet, but the one thing I will say that I've had the most success with, because we've all kind of worked in stores, not Sue's, but she works a lot in public game nights. I've had the best luck when I know like other games that people have played. Like if they've played Magic, I can teach a game with a million terms that everyone will understand right away, because Magic has its own lingo. And I really wish there were, like, cross-game terms. Like, if I tell someone something works at instant speed or sorcery speed or it works like an enchantment, they immediately kind of understand how it works. And it's so nice if someone has a Magic background, I can teach almost any game to them very easily. And I wish they would be a little bit more consistent across games, like in board games, with their terminology. And I know that there's weird, like, rules and things that people think are copyrighted that actually can't be copyrighted, and
like tapping. Yeah.
Right. That's not a thing that should be able to be legally backed up, but it is, unfortunately. But
Not
you hear
anymore.
like rest and bow.
That's common use. Yeah.
I don't know. That hex suit was pretty serious, and it did go to almost bankrupt a whole company because they
it's probably
decided to
pretty
fight
scary
back.
for people. Yeah, it's still scary.
So when someone decides that the words that they chose only work for their game, it's really unfortunate. And all it hurts are the people trying to get into games that are new. That's the only person that actually ends up hurting.
Yeah.
And I agree with Chris.
Turn your card 90 degrees, y'all.
Rest, bow, exhaust, tap.
Yeah, exhaust. Yeah.
Shift the card slightly.
Well, so Steph, you were talking about a little bit from your experience at Game Goblins, and then, Mags, you're talking about like using magic terminology, like relatable terminology. So when you're teaching people games, how important do you feel it is to explain the lingo, like to go ahead and go with the verbiage and the words that we use, but be like, hey, you're going to draft the cards, which just means you're going to look at the cards you have, pick one and pass the hand. Or do you just kind of go like what Steph, what it sounded like you did, is that you just went with a theme or tried to find the most relatable thing to what they already know to help make the game more consumable in that moment, and then let the lingo come later? Do you guys think that there's, like, what's your general approach, I guess?
If we're going to play the game, then especially if there are people that I want to come back and play games with me again, like, I mean, like people that are coming into the store and stuff, I don't mean that I'm deciding which people I don't want to play and which ones I do. But yeah, if we're going to play the game, then I'll probably, as we go, kind of, I'll teach a little bit and I'll say, this is card drafting right here. This, where we're putting our pawns on this area to take an action. This is called worker placement. But if I'm just explaining it to someone like in the retail section and they're looking at a game, then I'm probably not going to go that in depth, because everyone that's familiar with working in retail, you have like a limited time with them before they're like, bye Felicia, we don't want to talk to you anymore. I really try hard not to sell people games, and I even say, like, are you comfortable with, social type games, and I'll explain those types of games. And if they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to be like, well, you'll have fun. You should still buy Coup. You should totally get Resistance, and none of your friends will yell at you. You should get it. I want people to make smart decisions, because ultimately I want people to come back. Just that one sale is not important. So super quick sales pitch, but not as salesy, just more like, this is what the game is. And I probably won't worry about teaching them what engine building is.
I do like that idea of, like, if you're actually going to sit down and teach/play with somebody, letting them know what kind of game it is, so that will help them find stuff in the future. But I just noticed Chris in the chat mentioned Netrunner. Oh my gosh. Talk about a game that's like full of lingo. It's so full of lingo. And I will I'll be in my living room on the couch watching TV. My partner's like playing Netrunner or chatting Netrunner with somebody, and it's like they're talking a foreign language. It seriously is like I literally have no idea what's going on. Like, I understand what the game is, but there's so much to it now that I'm just like, yeah, sure. Like, you could be saying anything right now, and I just don't know. So that's like a huge barrier to entry for me to sit down and try and play Netrunner now.
It's like, Nicole, did you take your curtain climbing move? And you're like,
Whoa, hang on a second.
I think I did twice. I think I might have done that one twice.
I'm gonna ice some circuits with the credits. Well,
and that's definitely a I think I can't think of words, mostly because of the Jen Cantaloupe thing, but like games like the LCGs and the CCGs, because they grow and they evolve, and not every mechanism is planned out from the beginning. And I mean, like, Magic is a good example. I started playing Magic in 1994 and then dropped out for a while and then got back into it. And even though I'd had literally years of the game under my belt, when I got back into it 8 years later or whatever it was, I barely understood the game anymore. And because so much terminology had popped up, even within a game I already owned and I already knew and I'd already played. So, and I can definitely see where Netrunner or Game of Thrones or any of these other LCGs could easily fall prey to that.
Yeah.
But I think they appeal to a certain kind of gamer. So you have something like Netrunner or Doomtown, where most of the items in the game and actions you can take and things you can do have thematic jargon, which I agree with Nicholas. If I can use non-thematic jargon, I do. But there is a certain element of folk that really enjoy that. And like when you have a grip on one side and you have your HQ and you have all this stuff, it helps them feel like they're part of the lore of their game. And most of those folks came through Magic or Pokemon or something else that's super lore heavy. And so I do think there is a reason that you should use all of those silly thematic terms, but it's only going to, like, it limits its audience to who's going to stick with it the longest, I think. I think they figured that out early.
But do you think it's, so let me ask you that, like it appeals to a certain type of gamer, or certain type of person. Do you think it's a detractor? Like, do you think that the language is so thematic, is so deep, is so complex that there might be a person out there that would like that game if the language wasn't such a huge barrier up front?
Most certainly. But I compare it to teaching someone a game like Kanban. So you look at this big old busy board with a million different little things, like 6 or 8 different departments that you have to learn rules for each of those departments. The actual game is not that complicated, but trying to get past that initial step of learning is huge, and that's what game terminology should help you learn a mechanic or something, and when you use that kind of jargon, it doesn't help. Pick and pass is a much better term than drafting, but I understand drafting me because I have played drafting games and I've drafted Magic. But pick and pass is so much more evocative, but it's not going to be thematic for most games. Except Sushi Go, that actually works really well.
It does really.
It definitely
work well.
does depend on like where you're coming from, what your actual background is, but that's why I don't know. We try to use terms that we think are, and then we get into terms like area impulse, which Chris brought up, which Movalert says is typically activating. Was it ACE or Movalert? I thought it was Movalert. Activating an area of I know I'm just using the chat name because trying to be Twitch professional, I guess. I don't know.
You're so professional.
I don't know, whatever. Movalert said that area impulse is activating a group of things to move them or something on the map, so that's how it works for me, and that it's in Twilight Imperium. So yeah, that makes sense. Got it. Area impulse. I figured it was something like on a hex, but Yeah.
I find one thing for me personally that is in almost every game is if it's not points, it's money, and it's money that's called something. Credits.
Oh, I hate that.
Like whatever. I literally call money in every game the monies. Like, give me 5 monies. Like, I need those monies. It's gonna cost me this many monies because I just can't be bothered. It's like ripples or what's it or like.
I don't mind florins, but there's God, I can never pronounce it right. It's like Cicestri or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of S's and I's.
Testeri or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes up a lot in Europe.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done that one.
I do try to use whatever they're called in the game because
I'm too lazy.
I'm a loser.
I'm like, what a thing! I earned that many things. Give them to me.
I don't. So that's the problem. I teach a lot of games, but I don't necessarily help you read the rules later because almost always I use the terms dudes, monies, points. I'm like, this dude goes over here and does this thing. And, good luck looking that up in a rule book. I probably should focus a little bit heavier on that.
I guess you could call him the provost if you really need to, but he's just like a mega dude, whatever.
Yeah, you got the big dude and the little dude.
Yeah.
And when, the little dude's behind the big dude, that's just how it works.
Yes.
I just give them nicknames, like in Scythe, there is a mech that actually looks like Scyther, the Pokemon. So I'm like, are you going to move your Scyther on your turn, or what are you going to do? You can see my cat back there. P.S. I have a secret ingredient here that we're going to try and use to appease her. I'm going to drug my cat live. That's what
Gidget on the
rock.
rocks.
Quick, let's tweet about this. We're going to get so many viewers. It's going to be amazing.
That is my...
Good
This
luck
chat
with
just
it.
took this video just took a very right or a very wrong turn, and I'm really excited to find out which one it is.
A little
Yeah.
more drink and it'll be all
to show
good.
Gidget for everybody.
Oh, Baba.
This is the voice that you hear in all of the videos.
All videos
So
forever.
Pretty.
Love her.
Totally non sequitur since Gidget came on board. Like when Mag started talking about Kanban, it reminded me of Extra Life a couple of years ago, where like somehow, you see, she knows the story, where somehow we decided it was a good idea to learn.
Wait, Panamax. It's a Kanban.
No, it was, but Kanban made me think of Panamax, where it was like a good idea to learn Panamax at like 2 a.m. at
It's
the
26
tail end of a
pages. I can't
24-hour
even-
marathon.
I can't even count to 26
It
at
was
2 a.m.
it was amusing to
Do you
a
remember, like,
high
I think-
degree.
Paul Ference paid us to stop playing, but we didn't.
I do not remember that. I do
That's
not
amazing.
remember that.
This is
Yeah.
so boring.
You were paid to stop playing.
Yeah,
I thought you did stop playing. You
I
didn't
mean,
finish.
we stopped playing, but it wasn't when
Wasn't. Oh wow.
We were so delirious at that point.
We'll just never play it
Corrigan
again.
goes down.
Man,
Corrigan
that's
goes
strange.
down as the funniest teach game I've ever done.
Was that
Oh
that
my
was the
God.
one we ended with?
Because she was asleep and she kept like not.
I wasn't asleep. I was resting my eyes. I
No,
was
man.
aware
Face
and
on
listening.
table, unconscious. You were so
Little owl
asleep.
sleepy.
I was hidden in a onesie. You don't know. You don't know what I was doing in that onesie.
You don't know my life. We
Yeah.
do know your life. We know.
So
anyway,
anyway,
you remember
Anyway,
that, yeah.
We'll reel that back. Sorry.
Have you, Nicole? You said you had made up some cool terms. Do you have?
Yeah. So one of them I can't really take credit for. It was Adam. He came up with the term hieroglyphics, when there is like obscure little icons on cards or parts of the game that aren't really super obvious when you look at them what they might be.
so the graphic design on the cards
Yeah.
that is not
Yeah,
like
so Race for the Galaxy is a really good example of that. I still don't know the hieroglyphics of that one well enough to play it regularly. And I find that the first couple of plays of Grand Austria Hotel, if you don't know what the little icons on the staff cards are, you're like, when does this fire off? I need to look it up. So hieroglyphics is one that I've seen in quite a few games. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other examples I can think of off the top of my head, but
I like hieroglyphics. That's good. I like this is a common one, but calling a game point salad. So this isn't referring to a specific mechanic or mechanism, whichever side of the fence you're on that word. Point salad. So that's a game that has multiple paths to victory, or that you can just get points like, oh, I move here and then I get these points, and then I move here and I get these points, and then whenever I do this, I get these points and I get these points. So that's like a point salad game. But I would call like a game that really, really, really does that point buffet. Guilds of London is a point buffet. It's point buffet.
I just
for sure.
learned that. I didn't do well.
cool. Oh,
Yeah, I just learned that. I didn't do well.
that's
I
like
had
my
lots of
experience with Imhotep tonight.
I want to think of new terms for dexterity games, because right now I say it's a dexterity game.
Right.
So what are some good terms, if we could just crowdsource this right now, what are some good, like, do you say it's a balancing dexterity game?
You got
And so that's
Flicky.
Ooh, flicky.
Yeah,
Has
flicky,
an
exactly.
accurate-
So flicky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other? I guess. Well, I
Balancing,
mean, does
flicky.
Bandu count as balancing because it's got the bidding thing? I wouldn't. I don't know.
Well, it's still the dexterity portion of it is
Okay.
still balancing, right? But
Yeah.
then there's kind of not just accuracy, but then there's what is that, castle crushers or whatever, where you have the tower and you just kind of like drop it on someone. So what is dropping? What's like rampage? That kind of dexterity. What is dropping things? What is that? Is that a kaiju dexterity?
Open drop.
Yeah.
I
What is
kind of like
that?
the kaiju dexterity, but it's not as.
It's not applicable to like castle crushers or whatever. I might be making that title of the game up, but that's
like
what's in
when
my
you
head.
get to like something like darts or shuffleboard or crokinole. I know people are gonna say some of those aren't games. Whatever, I don't care.
They
But,
are. Come on.
Like it's an accuracy thing. It's like you're shooting for a specific
Targeting.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like Tunes. Flicky, stacky, grabby, and slappy.
Ooh.
That's
yeah.
Ghost Blitz.
Shockingly
Ghost Blitz.
accurate.
I
Ghost
like
Blitz
that
is gravity.
very much.
Right?
Oh, dropping is a good one as well. Yeah, because there's games like Flowerful and Fly by Chris Handy where you have to like strategically drop stuff, and I'm rubbish at all of them. But
yeah.
No one's good at
dropping.
those. That's not a thing you can be good at. I throw cards at a.
I throw cards with accuracy like a champ.
All
You
right.
guys
Well.
like Maximum Throwdown? That game's
Yeah, so
Oh my
that's
gosh.
actually that's what I was gonna bring up by Tagmeyer. Yeah, because you could be good at that game. You could be
Yeah.
good at that game.
I'm awesome at the game.
I played it once. I've won it once. I'm retired.
No,
You played once, retired champ. What's our cocktail count for Maggie? How many has she pulled out?
I'm pretty sure
I
it's
actually
just the
didn't
one.
even pre-funk. This is like the first one.
girl.
Oh man. So good time to show our recipe again in case you didn't see it. I won't read all of it, but this is our featured. Thank you, Gidget. Do you want to read out the recipe? No? Okay. This is our featured cocktail for this evening, the Gin Cantaloupe Gin Cant Martini. So maybe this is a good time to talk about if we think that we've wrapped up the Lingo convo.
Unless it comes back, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So Gen Con is coming up. They're all motor skills. Sabradek. Yes, that's right. Yes, dexterity, motor skills. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you have another dexterity? Can you, like, I guess you might dodge. That's still a motor skill. Are there, like, dodging board games where you, like, physically...
I don't think so.
Can you dodge in pie face?
Well, so I think any game that I start to lose could be a dodging game as I start to throw pieces at opponents.
Oh, that's me in Defenders of the Realm. Whenever I beat the bosses, I throw them across the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because but that's not part of the game. That's just me celebrating.
Chris just asked if real-time dice rolling is dexterity, and I can say yes because I'm rubbish at it.
Yeah.
And anything dexterous is not going to be for me. So
The
That's
drugs
just
are not
speed, right?
Drugs are
Because
not
there's
working. Oh my god.
Speed and dexterity
Is
kind of
it
thing.
like in Escape, if you lose a die off the table, you don't, it's locked when it comes back on or something like that, so you really actually have to, like, worry about how you're rolling the dice.
NPC Chris says if there's dodging involved, well, I'm paraphrasing. Dodge equals sport. So if there's dodging involved, then now it's a sports game. That's fair.
I see.
That's very fair.
Actually, I have a question. Not to derail, but I really love these stupid games. They're not stupid games because I love them, but like Rolling America, Rolling Japan, Quicks, where you're rolling dice and you're writing something down or marking something off on a
Did roll
score
and
sheet.
write become the thing?
Well,
like,
so
is that...
we actually struggled like to name it on Twitter. We were talking about it, and we kind of landed on roll and write because it was alliterative. But then I remember somebody else came up with something really good, but now I can't remember what it was. But I mean, that definitely feels selfishly maybe like that feels like a genre of game. And so roll and write, like, does that work or is that stupid? Is that like, I don't know. And is there a better name for it? What's the real name for that mechanism anyway?
That's whenever you say this is like Rolling America.
It's the Rolling America.
That's when you say things like this is a Yahtzee mechanism.
It's Yahtzee mechanism, right? That's what I most commonly hear, referencing not just the kind of the roll your dice and you can re-roll, but also then, in this case, rolling dice and marking off a score sheet, right?
Yeah.
No. Roll and score?
I think roll and write is pretty
Roll and
accurate.
write's pretty good.
The first time I played one was Streams, so it was like you pull a tile, which is kind of like rolling a die, and then you write it down, and you damn the consequences, I guess.
Tune says that for me, it would probably be ScotchCon. I don't know what that's in reference to because I can't see everything in the chat because you guys are so active. But Scotch,
digging
I
the
get it.
Yeah, the chat is really good tonight.
The chat is on fire.
So on BGG, Rolling America is listed as dice rolling and paper and pencil.
Yeah, dice dice rolling is pretty much the catch-all. Like, okay,
Yeah.
sure you can do other things with dice, but you're probably always going to roll them, right?
Probably.
Like,
Unless it's a felt game, you just like
Yeah.
set them.
but you roll them.
No, sometimes you just set them down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And
let me
then
ask you this then. This is a little bit of a change in topic. We've talked about how terminology could be even off-putting or limiting in some ways, especially in context of new gamers or people who are just getting into the hobby. But what about language and terminology as a unifier and a community builder, right? Because if you go into a space, like one of the things I do, Dyson Slice, U.S. Rummer 72 said Dyson Slice. I kind of like that.
US Drummer 72, yeah.
Yeah.
Get you.
Oh, there you go. Drummer, got it. Like when somebody says, I remember I was interviewing a candidate at my job, and they had written in a hobby section, which I hate hobby sections in resumes. Don't do this. But he put a hobby section, and he wrote board games, and I'm like, oh.
Okay. You're hired. Just tell me more.
So, but of course, I go into the interview, and at some point, at an appropriate moment, after getting the real stuff out of the way, I said, well, I see here that you play board games. What are some of your favorite games, right? And that's a test, because if they say...
That's a tough test.
Well, they say, like, Yahtzee and Parcheesi and Trivial Pursuit, I understand that they have one context for their gaming.
Yeah.
And it's not my context, so we probably don't necessarily have that much inherently in common already. Whereas this individual actually said, well, I really like Betrayal on House of the Hill and all this, and I'm like, okay, now we have context. And I immediately felt, connected to them in a way I didn't before, because we spoke a similar language and we came from a same place. And I think gaming terminology, as limiting as it could be for non-gamers, for gamers, it's kind of our thing, right? And we can talk to each other and we can totally get it. Hey, did you see that new Feld game? It's point salad, but there's a real nice engine building component. I hear that there's going to be some deck building, but it's going to be amplified by area control, and it's going to use the Luna air style. I mean, right? And we all were like,
I want to play this game right now.
Okay, I totally get it. So, certainly for new gamers, I can see where gaming terminology can be a detractor, but for people in the hobby, I kind of do like it as a way to build community, I guess.
Well, it helps you find people to play with at cons and stuff as well. I think it's good.
We have to be careful about gatekeeping, which is kind of a thing, like a point of mine. Because I do like heavier games and I like chunkier stuff, it's hard for me not to feel like I'm only ever going to be speaking with experienced gamers. You have to give people kind of a benefit of the doubt to either glean your meaning or at least speak not only in lingo and terminology so that other people could become heavier gamers.
Yeah.
It's hard because you want more people in your hobby, so those types of shortcuts can make people feel outside.
I think
And
right.
that
Saberdeck says, slipping game lingo into a conversation in the hopes that someone picks up on it and you instantly connect as like wearing a fan t-shirt like Star Wars in order to instantly have something in common with strangers. Yeah, it is kind of like that. I don't know that anyone gets excited when I'm like, this is a card drafting game. They're not like, you know about card drafting?
I think that people would be pretty excited.
Some people. But not at the simple fact that I know what the term card drafting is and how it's used in context of board games. But, yeah, similar. Maybe the, like, Vlada is my homeboy shirt. It's,
Right.
definitely similar to
so
that.
What we've seen the last couple of weeks, like Pokemon Go, you wander around, if you've got your phone out and you're kind of near something interesting, people are coming up and talking to you. Like, I don't know if you guys are all playing Pokemon Go. I believe everyone here is.
A little bit.
That's what I'm like. So I've had conversations with random strangers. I have a little Valor pin that I've been, like, I know I'm on Valor, whatever. The team thing is not, like, important to me. So if you guys are on a different team, I don't actually care.
It's fine.
And that's all the time we have for Maggie Bottom.
But that sucks, because I just joined Valor because friends of mine were on there, and now it's like this weird thing. But I've been wearing that pin, and whether or not they were on Valor or some other team, that's given like random strangers an opportunity to come talk to me about gyms and things and Pokemon in general, and I hatched a Lapras, and it was a really exciting time, and I had 3 strangers around me rooting me on for this 10K egg. So it's like, nice. I feel like that's what being a little bit more open and less insular can get you, is that like crazy, weird, random community.
You also live in like gaming mecca though, and Pokemon is there, and so if I walk up to a stranger that's just looking at their phone and I'm like, Pokemon Go, huh? Then they might not be playing Pokemon Go.
Okay.
I basically assume anyone with their phone out is playing Pokemon Go, but today I did the rude thing and was like, I want to see if they're playing. And so I kind of like looked at their phone. No, they were checking emails like a responsible adult. So yeah. So I get excited when I see people with their phones out and I'm like, definitely playing Pokemon Go. No, they're like,
they're just walking.
So that was my Seattle privilege showing, and Steph is all right to show that was the truth. Seattle is awesome.
But as far as like gatekeeping goes, I feel like a lot of us kind of know our audience. So like if I know people I'm playing with, I'll use whatever lingo because I know generally they're going to understand, and if they don't mind going with what are you on about. Whereas if I'm at like a con that mostly gamers will know about, but maybe there are some people who are new that haven't played much more than like Catan or Carcassonne, then I will be a little bit more liberal with my explanations and descriptions and things like that. If I'm at BGG-Con, I will generally know that I can pretty much say any kind of lingo and it will be fine. So yeah, I feel like knowing the audience there is a good thing with lingo.
Bye, Daniel Newman.
Bye, Daniel.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Well, Okrun is saying that they're kind of in between where the hobby weirded to people who have only just started playing Smash Up or Munchkin, but feels like a helpless noob talking to hardcore mechanism people, and I think that really goes to kind of, Margaret, what you were kind of getting to about that accessibility and making sure that we never let language be a barrier, terminology be a barrier between welcoming in new gamers, but then also, Nicole, being aware, like reading your audience. And one thing I like to do, because maybe I'm not always the best at reading people, or I often get a little excited about games, and so I kind of lose. But I always try to remember to check in, like, and ask, does this make sense? Or, and trying to give them a second of airspace to say no, right? Because it can be really confusing, and because once you get so deep, it's actually easy to lose context of just things that you accept as everyday terminology for games. Somebody who's only played a few games wouldn't know, and so being aware, being sensitive, not letting terminology be a barrier, and checking yourself and creating an open space for questions when you're teaching, I think helps.
I think for me, because I have a little bit of struggle, and Stephanie knows this unfortunately, I struggle if people break up what I'm trying to say with questions. So I try and let people know when questions are going to be okay. I'm like, okay, after I get through all these actions, I'm going to go through any question you have. Mm-hmm. And I try really, really hard to create that space, because maybe you used a couple phrases or terminology or something and people didn't really understand what you're saying. Maybe you said dudes and money instead of whatever would make thematic sense. And that can actually affect people's, feeling about the game and you and the community, because you're representing more than what you just yourself whenever you're in a public space like that. I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's Sabra. Okay, yeah, I know her. Hello, Sabra. Yes, I need a babysitter. Come over and pet my cat.
Someone grab the
And then we can play War Machine afterwards. That'd be great.
Oh, do you guys play War Machine together?
We have not played together, but we both play at Game Goblin, so.
Okay.
Because there was kind of a long break for a little bit until Mark III came out, so like I wasn't really playing, and I think she was still playing a little bit, but she came to our adult game night, and
Hey, nice.
her and her partner played, so yeah.
Well, especially like things like War Machine, Warhammer, war games in general have a very strong sense of lingo and belonging and terminology that's very, very, very insular that I only knew because I was so on the outside for so long. Like, I had to go and learn those games just so I could speak to customers in some half-intelligent way. And those aren't games I necessarily personally love, but I learned them just so I could speak to people in their own language. It took a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. It's very
I know, right?
It's very hard.
You guys are
Yeah, they're great.
amazing in the chat tonight.
I have
I'm
chat,
yeah, chat's on fire.
I have the cat, I have the cantaloupe, so so we are all, actually not all of us, obviously, but 3 of us are going to Gen Con, and 1 of us is going to Gen Cant, so 3 of us are supremely jealous of the other one, I think.
Indeed.
I
as
have
it
so
should
far
be.
had to decline 2 Gen Cant invites, and I'm very
Aw.
sad.
I haven't gotten any Gen Cant
Me
invites,
neither.
and I suddenly feel less cool. but
There
that's
is some
okay.
seriously cool stuff that happens for Gen Cant. Like the first
I
year it
know.
happened, I was just like, this is magical. Like we're all just hanging out every day on Twitter talking about games, and there's prizes and stuff is happening. And my
I
mind
had an
melted.
amazing Gen Cant last year. Gen Cant 2015 was really, really cool.
Ah,
I met people who I still consider friends now.
that's awesome, man.
I haven't been able to go to Gen Cant since its inception, so.
Oh, I went to Gen Cant last year. So I was saying to the girls before,
So
did
you
Gen
need to start a Twitter and
Gen
community
Cant.
for those that can't.
Cant, and now
Gen
I'm going
Con
to Gen
that
Con.
Yeah.
All right, Suze, I will give you your segue now. Tell us a little bit about Gen Cant, would you?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what else can I say? So yeah, I mean, Gen Cant's happening again. It's you know, it's in its 3rd year, which is exciting, and I hope we're getting better. Although sometimes it feels like they're good days and they're bad days organizing it, but I'm super excited about this year. Again, the community support and energy for it it's quite frankly, it's pretty stunning to me. Like, you know, one thing I do is I reach out to publishers and designers and kind of softly ask them if they want to donate to Gen Cant, and the response is, I haven't gotten a single lukewarm response yet. Everybody that responds is like, absolutely, tell me what you want. What do you need? We love Gen Cant. And I think you get that from people like publishers because they understand that not everybody, the vast majority of people, can't go to Gen Con that would love to. And I think they understand that Gen Cant is creating a space for community, for interaction, for energy and excitement and activity around Gen Con, around gaming, all the things that Gen Con is about. Gen Cant is about too. It's just on a distributed internet network. And so actually OSU Fan is asking, what is Gen Cant? And I think that that's a great question. Thank you for asking, OSU Fan. Is that Ohio State or Oregon State? I really want to
It's
know.
OSU. It's a rare bird.
Oh,
Oh.
the OSU. Is that the one with the pink tinged feathers?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I like that bird. So Gen Cant started 3 years ago on Twitter from a group of friends on Twitter that were kind of bemoaning not being able to be at Gen Con because we're starting to see a lot of the press and media coming out of Gen Con, and it just happened somebody did hashtag Gen Cant, and people kind of glommed onto it, and so pretty quickly we just kind of organized in a way, and we created a little contest and a raffle, and actually a publisher reached out and said, hey, if you're really going to do this, I'll donate some games, and then that obviously got really exciting, and it was a great first year where people were joking about being at Gen Cant, and they were showing people were tweeting pictures of them at Gen Can't, which was basically pictures of them on their sofa, at home, relaxing. People started talking about, showing off pictures of the line for coffee at Gen
I love
Can't.
that so much.
Yeah, which is just, a picture of their coffee pot.
I was really jealous of Gen Can't whenever all those pictures started showing up, because I was like, I want to show a funny photo.
Well, and as amazing as Gen Con is, Gen Can't has no lines. You always have a bed that you're comfortable and familiar with. You don't have to worry about transportation. So, there are a lot of benefits to Gen Can't.
Yeah.
So that's how Gen Can't started. The next year, we kind of built it up and actually tried to organize and plan ahead a little bit, where we had photo contests. We had online games where we would play Concept and Mysterium via Twitter posts and BGG posts. That was super fun. And again, publishers and designers and just every gamers, people in the community donated a ton of prizes that we gave away through contests and raffles. And there just seems to be a lot of positive energy about it, and so we're doing it again this year.
But doing it big.
Well, we've got big plans, but this year we're doing it bigger than last year. So this year we're going to do more online games, some new ones that we haven't played before. It's actually really cool. I'm going to say it wrong, but they don't care. Gigamic from France, really, right?
Yeah, it's Gigamic.
It doesn't. So literally, their motto is, "It doesn't matter how you say it, as long as you're having fun."
Nice.
So, I
am told it's Gigamic though.
We'll go with what. Gigamic it is.
The people that made Quarto,
the people who make Quarto and Corridor, right? They actually reached out to me and they're like, "We love Gen Can't. We have some games that we think would be really great for the online post and play, and we'd love to sponsor some of that this year." And I'm like, "Yes, please." So we've got 3 different games we're going to play that are sponsored by Gigamic, and we've got some other ones in our pocket that we're going to do. So to be honest, I'm pretty excited. We have publishers that haven't sponsored us before, probably just because they didn't know about it, but Yellow is sponsoring and donating for the first time this year, and then Steve Jackson Games is donating for the first year, and then we have USAopoly and Tasty Minstrel and other publishers that have just
Crash
been
Games.
Huge support. Crash of Games.
Crash of Games, yeah.
Crash of Games. I'm sorry.
As well. So
I gotta get on that.
It does matter how you say that, not the same tagline.
So, if anybody's interested, we have a BGG guild. If you go search for Gen Can't, we're on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, just hashtag Gen Can't or @GenCan't. And we have a website, www.gencant.com.
Is it officially space or no space?
No space.
I was just gonna ask that.
And apostrophe or no apostrophe?
No apostrophe, because apostrophes don't translate in hashtags.
So you...
That
Sure.
is social media gold.
Right? That's a whole nother show. You made your whole thing based on how you can hashtag it most efficiently. Sure. Yeah, I like it. For those wondering why you don't hear Gidget anymore, I shut the door and put her out of the room. She will be upset. There's a hashtag.
Put it out there.
I did. I literally have this open container of catnip sitting in here, and she was like, "I don't care. I want to meow right now because you're live on the internet." So the hashtag free Gidget, which she has the whole house, and it's like free Stephanie. I'm in here all by myself in this room without a fan in southern U.S. heat. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. All good.
Yeah. So Gen Can't, that's really cool. I'm glad that you guys are doing that.
I am too. And hopefully people enjoy it. So I encourage anybody that's watching to check it out.
It's free and optional, so I guess
free, optional.
If you don't enjoy it, then don't hashtag Gen Can't.
Gen Cant's the worst ever.
Some ideas as well. So some friends of mine did Gen Can't up the last 2 years. I went last year. And what they basically did is they broke it down into parts of cons that you would normally do. So they did a merch day where they went to 3 or 4 different game stores that they didn't normally go to and bought a couple games. And then they did like a demo day where they tried out a bunch of games. Like everyone brought stuff they hadn't played or they didn't get to play very often. And then they did like a public meetup day, like, you know, where you'd randomly meet people. And everyone brought a couple friends that they didn't think would know the rest of the people. And so that's actually how I met a few friends of mine last year, is that public friend day, like everyone brought out all these people from kind of the suburbs.
Watch it.
Public Friend Day.
It was amazing though, and there were like 12 of us playing random board games at a game store here, and it was just a really good time. So you can kind of mirror the experience of something like a Gen Con and then go out to eat somewhere and like maybe, you know, see the town in a way you don't normally do it, and that was really fun.
That's so neat.
That's amazing.
Oh.
That's so cool.
Well, I mean, Suze, think Ross, like that's who did it. So.
Oh, well, okay, that explains a lot. Ross is the best.
Yeah.
So Gen Can's amazing for people who can't go to Gen Con, but to be honest, one of the nice things about Gen Cant are the people who go to Gen Con but remember there's Gen Cant and kind of make an extra effort to share Gen Con with everybody else. And, you know, I know some people see posts out of Gen Con are kind of like, oh, you know, they're all there and we don't get to be there, oh, mopey me. And I understand that because it's kind of a bummer for me too. But I really view those posts as like experience Gen Con virtually, and so I love it. I love it when people who are at Gen Con share photos and tweets and do Facebook posts out of the actual event. So hopefully people in this chat, I'm not pointing any fingers, will make an effort to do that.
So before you get to that amazing and wonderful point that I want you to make, I think the stream is down.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Okay, if it's working for you.
There's a circle of death on Twitch.
It does show down on Twitch, or no?
Yeah, it's just like, it's loading.
It says offline. Loading.
Because I really want, Suze, I really want you to make that point because I actually think it's super important. Because I felt like that for Origin.
The chat is not saying it's down, so I don't...
They did a few times on mine.
Oh, they did? I don't see any of that. I just see Gidget
Tony
talk.
Miller said, if I can't stream, none of you can.
And then Seb before that said, rest in peace chat, or rest in peace stream.
I don't show that we've dropped any frames, and I show that
it's spinning a circle over a MaggieBot.
No!
Yep.
Chat is up, stream is down.
I show that we're still live, so
Everybody refresh.
Weird. We're still live on YouTube, so...
Yeah. I don't know why. It must be a Twitch thing, because...
It might be a Twitch thing.
XSplit is still live.
Okay.
Well,
that's okay, because I think, and I really want us to do like a blog post or something about like people, yes, they're going to be sort of like, yeah, I wish I was there, but they still really want to see pictures and hear things about cons. Like they want to feel part of it. I think it's really important because I was really sad until I think we mentioned a few times on Twitter that no one was posting Origin stuff. Yeah. And then I started getting some photos and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like, that's great. I can't be there, but I would much rather see my friends having fun than not hear anything.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, with Gen Can't happening, there's so much going on with that, plus you're seeing all the Gen Con stuff coming in, and I think that's a really good mix. Like, that's what I experienced in the first year anyways. So, and, you know, I don't feel like, as somebody who took part in Gen Can't, I don't feel like I wanted my friends at Gen Con to have less fun or not share. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about having, like, extending the community at that, like, big, heavy con season time to have more people having fun and engaging, and still engaging with all the Gen Con stuff. Like, people are talking about Gen Con releases and news coming out of Gen Con and all of that stuff. So I think the Gen Can't people have the best of both worlds.
Well, and for better or worse, like, whenever I don't make it to a con, I learn more about the games being presented at that con, because I watch the BGG streams, and you learn so much more than you would if you're, like, in the middle of all this crazy, and there are people, and they're dragging you this way and that, and you see a few things, but you don't see as much as you do when, like, they just bring in people every like 10 minutes for you to be able to enjoy their stuff.
Yeah.
So luckily Steph is now part of the BGG TV team, and I'm really excited about that.
Yay!
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really great. It's like one of those things, I can only relate it to something that my friend Luke said, which was really sweet. After I kind of sort of joined the geek community in Little Rock, or me and my friends helped create our own community, he said it feels like we should have been friends all along, and it feels like I should have been part of the BGG team all along, because all of them are so awesome and so welcoming and so amazing, and it doesn't feel, I mean, we literally worked from like 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. At Origins every day. I wasn't there in the very beginning, so I didn't work as hard as long as everyone else, but it didn't feel like that, though. It felt like I hung out at Origins the whole time, but I was doing work the entire time. Like, we didn't, we left briefly for lunch, and that was it. So I think it's really great. I hope to continue doing it. Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to get them over to like Twitch and live stream and stuff like that, because they use actual live stream, like live stream the software.
Oh, right.
Which is super amazing and sophisticated, but it's not as much of a community as Twitch. So I'm like, we should do more live stuff other than cons. So I think that's what they want me to kind of help guide them to. So this is like my first foray into that. So
that's really neat.
Steph, I'll be honest, at first I was like, I really wish I was that. But if anyone could do that, and you have so much knowledge and like passion for this, no, you do. Like, compared to any of us, you're the professional here, Missy. Like,
well,
we're doomed.
Yeah, take like a day of studying, and they'll be like, why is Stephanie doing it this way? Well, this way is way better.
You're willing to put in the hours and meet the people that you needed to teach you how to do this stuff, and it's been really amazing to watch. I'm really, really glad for you.
Ace has been super helpful, by the way, who was in the chat, from the Nerd Nighters. So he's under the tag DFW Nerd Night. Yeah, he's been super helpful because he handles all of the production for the Nerd Night, which is a live video cast. So I am so bummed that it still shows offline on Twitch. So I don't know.
Yeah, the YouTube is working just fine. I don't know why. But there's still 19 people or 20 people there, so that's great.
Hey, and
Hey,
yeah. Sorry about that. So the video will be a little disjointed for those watching this after the fact, but just know, not sure what happened. I'm not dropping any frames, but Twitch kind of was showing some issues, so we just moved the chat over to YouTube. So if you ever do want to watch the show, we are mostly all on Twitch, and so go to twitch.tv/Meeples included, and then heart us there to follow us and be notified when we go live. We are also live simultaneously on YouTube, so if that's more convenient for you, you can watch live there. However, we're trying to guide just one place for chat, so we're chatting on Twitch. So if you are on YouTube live, you could probably chat with other people that are also live on YouTube, but we just might not be monitoring that as much. So we're going to try to keep you involved, though, I promise.
Well, we want a chat. We want people interacting, even if it distracts me like I'm a fucking But
the chat was something that we all talked about, was very important to us. We wanted to hang out, but we also wanted to hang out with people outside of the four of us. Google Hangout limits it, right? So we can't just literally have everybody. Otherwise, that would be awesome, and also mass chaos.
Really?
But we all talked about that being something important to us, and as you'll notice, we all are active in chat, and we try and reference that back on the stream, as well as be active in the chat too. So
it's very important to us, and I mean, we wouldn't. I mean, we probably would do this just because we like to chat with each other, but honestly, like, it's super great to have a bunch of people from the community hang out with us on a Friday night and chat about
I know,
like,
it's so great.
The best.
Well, as much as I would literally call and hang out with you guys anytime, we didn't prioritize it. So putting something like this put together,
It forces it.
that made
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Well, because we tried to do it before, and we were all like, no, it was like never a good Friday, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And so now that we have kind of the obligation of every other Friday, then it's like, okay. And I would actually do more than that. And definitely give us feedback, viewers, chat, on what you think. Is every other Friday-ish? Is that okay? Is that hard to follow? Are you never sure when we're going to be on?
I'm never sure when we're on.
Weekly consistently, I think will be difficult for all of us, but we could
Try.
yeah, we could try, and we could rotate people in, other people. If there's other people that you want to hear from, we are open to that idea. We wanted to definitely set a foundation of the four of us, since that was something that we all talked about for a little bit. So we wanted to make sure that we knew what we were doing before we brought someone on and was like, hey, we don't know what we're doing, but come hang with us and bring a drink.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Gen Con plans.
Yes.
Yes,
Because I know that all of us have a little bit of scheduling issues because cons pull you every which way. But are there any things right now that you plan on being on at, specifically?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go first.
You go.
I'm very excited because I'm going to go to my second Nerd Night auction. So that's on the Thursday night of the con. So I'm pretty stoked for that. And apparently there's going to be Dread being run, which is the Jenga-based RPG. So I'm super pumped for that. That was
cool.
One of the first things I got my ticket for, and I know a bunch of people who are going to be there, which makes my anxiety a little bit less about going. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the same night is a Women in Gaming thing, which I'm curious to see how that will be. We'll see.
I am going to Nerd Nighters also, so I'm coming in very late Wednesday night. Actually, Nicole and I are coming in about the same time, so we're hoping to cab it from the airport. So we get in 11 or so, Wednesday night. Going to be, of course, in the BGG booth, which is, oh my gosh, 1949? 1849? No, I think it's 1949 is the booth. And I'll be doing that all day Thursday-ish. There's a schedule. There's lots of hosts. I don't know how much airtime I'll have. I don't know how much I'll be producing. I don't know what I'll be doing. I'm just going to, whatever they need. Ace will also be there, so that's cool, too. And then Nerd Nighters that Thursday night. Friday, again, of course, BGG booth. And then Friday night we have a BGG team dinner because Aldi's so cool and he takes the whole team out and we all hang out and talk about, it's good to do that earlier because we kind of talk about what's been working, what adjustments we need to make, or hey, maybe we should do this, maybe this would make this easier. So it's a little bit of business talk but also a lot of fun and relaxing for all of us together. There's some stuff Friday night. There's Shut Up and Sit Down show and Board with Life party, which I think is open, right? I think that's you can just go. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not really sure what's open, what's not open. I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow on Friday night.
I think that's what we're all gonna do.
I'm staying at the Crown Plaza, so if there's nothing going on, then I'm either gonna be gaming there in the lobby or wherever the hot gaming spot is. And then Saturday night I am, because Isaac Shalev, my co-host on Onboard Games, the podcast, we so rarely, weirdly, get time together at cons anymore, which is how we met and used to hang out all of the time.
Oh.
So we are doing dinner together Saturday night, which could involve other people. So if other people want to join too, that's cool. But it's definitely me and him. And then I don't know. Saturday's free. Maybe
Adrenaline.
Mags and Nicole and maybe we'll Periscope.
Maybe.
We talked about doing something for Meeples Included and Games on the Rocks and Periscoping from that. So follow the Twitter at Meeples Included because we will probably be doing some Periscopes periodically. Just whoever, we've all got control of the account, so you never know who's going to be doing it. It could be Mags.
It could be anything.
Well,
Nicole,
speaking as the person not attending Gen Con, I would love seeing the three of you together at some point, broadcasting and chatting and telling me about your Gen Con experiences, what you're seeing, what the energy is like. I've never been to Gen Con. I don't. I'm a little intimidated by it, to be honest. Like, it seems like a very big thing with a ton of people, a ton of activity, so much going on, such a huge crowd. I actually find it like a little like, but getting an insider's POV on what's going on, what what it's really like to be at Gen Con, I'd love to see you ladies drinking and chatting about it. So please do that. Thank you.
I can definitely give a first-timer's perspective because this will be my first. So,
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
If there's a really hot, cool party game, then we'll for sure be playing that.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Happy Salmon. Oh, wait, that's probably not good for broadcast. I don't know. I want to see
whatever.
Happy Salmon anyway.
I have Happy
You couldn't
Salmon.
pay me
I'll
to play
bring it.
Happy Salmon.
So have you
I've never
guys?
tried it.
You won't play it? You won't play Happy Salmon? What about the version where you can't speak and you can only do actions?
Yeah.
So Happy Salmon is a social game where you each have a deck, and there are actions that you have to do. You draw one card from your deck. Everybody has the same deck. It's like up to 6 players, I think. And so it can either say punch it, high five, right? Happy Salmon, or switch places. So you can do the one without word. Look, Mags is so checked out right now.
I can't even with Happy Salmon. No, I
know. But so
actually.
I've never tried it.
there's a version that I saw W. Eric Martin play where they didn't use words and they just used motions, and it looked hysterical because they were just like,
My.
and you're like, is that punch it? Is that happy punch it? What is that? Is that happy? Like, is that high five? Like, so it's silly and fun, and it's an inexpensive card game, Mags. Come on.
I'll bring a copy of Pit if you want. I'll play Pit.
Oh, I've never played Pit. Like,
Okay. That game has been around for more than 100 years. Like, you can't go wrong with that. But Happy Salmon is the
Pound it.
fun
No,
version
punch it.
of Pit.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry.
it sounds
It
terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
no.
But yeah, I'm sure like at least a couple of times we'll try to broadcast. There's a whole bunch of other like live recordings going on for stuff as well. Like I think I'm gonna try and get to the Dice Tower podcast recording and also the Shut Up and Sit Down one. I think those will be pretty fun to check out and see. I've never been to a live recording of a podcast before, so I'm curious to see what those will be like. I've only ever heard it from the listener end, not an attendee end, so we'll see.
So it's funny, we started out talking about this maybe being like games that we're looking forward to at Gen Con, which nobody's really said any games that they're looking forward to at Gen Con, so...
I have a list.
You have a list?
Somewhere.
Schedule though, because I want to do a couple of shout-outs for just schedule stuff, just in case people are
for sure. Yeah.
So Thursday is stupid. There's like 6 things I want to attend all at the same time.
Thursday's really busy. It's crazy.
I'm grumpy about it because I want to attend all of the things, but I will be at the Nerd Nighters charity dinner, and I will be at the Women in Gaming thing from Greater Than Games.
What time does the Women in Gaming thing start? Do you know?
It's like 7 or 8 or something.
It's 8.
So Nerd Nighters starts at 6.
Right, so I'm going to be hopping in and out of both of those things.
Yeah, totally.
There's something else happening that same exact evening, though, that I would really wanted to go to. So I will be at those things at some point. Friday, I will be at the AEG, like, whatever they call their game night thing.
I didn't mention that because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it is. I'll be there for a bit. I will be at the Dice Tower Live thing, probably. For Saturday, and this is, I'm hoping that this will be a thing. I will be at the Czech Games booth. I'm actually doing some booth time.
Oh, cool.
Because I always feel like having a place to be and a thing to do on purpose is important at a con. It gives me something where I don't have to feel anxious or anything. Like I have a place to be.
Yeah.
So Saturday, all day, I will be at Czech Games, and then I'm going to dinner with some friends. I will probably have some open invites for that if you see me on Saturday. And then other than that, I don't really have a lot of plans. I think I have a game scheduled with someone on Saturday or Friday, and then I think I have an interview with Seiji Kanai on Sunday. I don't know how that
Oh,
happened, but I don't actually know how to interview people, so now I need to practice that.
you look good.
Girl, I can help you out.
Well, it's like because I'm only gonna be on a GoPro, right? So I need to learn how to use my GoPro. Which
I love
is
that people are still talking in the chat on Twitch, by the way. I love you guys so much.
so good. I'm so glad everyone's here. Thank you guys for coming out tonight.
Thank
It's
you.
so great.
We were actually all talking about that earlier when we were talking about the show, how much we really love the community that has shown up for this because, again, like we're like, I don't know what we're doing. We're just talking about stuff. Like, that's interesting to people, so that's cool. But we actually find you interesting. Like, we think that chat is super interesting and very appreciative and love the support that you've given. So, thank you.
Amen.
Is that your full Gen Con schedule?
I think so. If anyone wants to come learn Haba games with me, Thursday morning I'm going to go learn Haba games. But that's the only work-related thing I'm doing because this is technically a vacation for me.
Right.
So it's like the only thing I'm actually doing for work.
I'll probably go by the Cool Mini or Not booth a little bit because.
Yeah, where are you guys going first? Like, what's your gotta go to this booth first?
I wouldn't mind getting a copy of Codename Pictures. I know it's gonna be like retailing soon after, but like I really have wanted it since I played it in April, so I'm gonna see what I can do.
Those illustrations look so good, though.
They're wild. They're just like so weird and surreal and
they're
awesome.
like Dixit, but not Dixit. I mean, I know that we shouldn't say everything is Dixit, but every picture that is like
simple,
strange
but
and interesting.
wacky, so I don't know. I think it's really
eccentric.
good. So I'm going to try that, but my partner in crime over on the Daily Worker Placement blog, Sean, he is going to be doing a bunch of demoing and press stuff for Cool Mini or Not, as well as a friend of ours who's coming down from Toronto with him. So I'm going to swing by and see what they're going to be demoing, and yeah, see what else is going on demos-wise.
Mags, where are you heading first? Where's like your top priority?
I don't have any hot games. Like there are no big flashy games I need to play right now. I will be stopping by Tasty Minstrel because Tasty Minstrel has always like they're gonna have Guilds of London, which I didn't go to Origins, so I don't have Guilds of London, and the Orleans expansion. I'd really like that. But the one that I keep talking about, because I saw it on an Origin stream, that I really would like to play is Sherwood Games has, like, robots, the quest for the coal heart. It's the worst name ever. But the game looks solid. It looks like a tech tree game with some, like, Race for the Galaxy elements. And if they did it well, it's going to be amazing. And if they didn't do it well, then I still want to play it and give them some feedback, because they're so new. Like, have you ever heard of Sherwood Games? I hadn't. But it caught my eye, and
that's
so
funny. We talked about that, yeah.
I zeroed in on it. Like that's the one I'm gonna go and try. Other than that, I actually don't have that much on tap.
Tony Miller asks, "Is the Orleans expansion going to be there?" If it is, it's not going to be for retail.
I don't know if it's gonna be there.
I don't know if it'll be demoed or not. I haven't heard them talk about it.
I might just be dumb. I just might have heard something that wasn't a thing. So I don't know.
Mags has like intimate knowledge that some of which she cannot share all the time because it's her job. So she.
No, this wasn't job. It was birthday related. I think they might just have a copy for me. So.
Oh yay! That's awesome.
It was my birthday.
That's so sweet.
I got it so sweet.
Aww.
Yeah, but I know that Orleans, the invasion or something expansion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know that it's gonna be, even if you get the DLP version, it was like supposed to be like works with whatever version you had, and I had the Orleans deluxe one that they did from TMG, so. I'm excited though, because I wanted that game to be just a little bit more, and that's what the expansion does. So I'm excited.
Oh, I want to try that. That's exciting.
What about Nina and Pinta or First Martians or things
I'm
like that.
excited to try them.
Colony's gonna be there.
Oh, I want to give
Oceanos.
Colony another go.
Colony
Yeah.
has such a like split impression audience, I think. Like there's a lot of people, it's kind of like it's those games that where it's like it's been talked about a lot, so some people are like, oh, Colony's not good, you know, and then some people are like, Colony's so great.
It was fascinating. Like I tried it back in April and was really intrigued by it, but I don't think one play of a game like that is enough for me to really fully understand it or form a full impression. So that's why I'd like to, like, they'll probably have a production copy there, if not like a final pre-production. So I think I would like to give that another go and see what it's like, because it was just it's a very different. It is very
different
from Bezier, so we'll see.
So Nicholas Coe said Ponzi scheme or Orleans invasion won't be for sale. Just checked. So thank you, Nicholas Coe. And then I'm hearing invasion. Tony Miller said it makes it co-op. Nicholas Coe said invasion has a few modules. And then co-op is one of those modules. So
that's curious.
There's also there's debate on your age, Marguerite. Is so great. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. I'm so glad that she joined. I think this is the first time that she's ever joined because I Facebooked about it for the first time on my personal Facebook page, which I don't normally do. And so I don't know. I think that's just super sweet. Whenever my local friends join, it makes me feel good.
That's awesome.
Well, and what's nice is that people keep saying I look a lot younger than I am when they found out it was my birthday. I feel like I'm gonna be able to ride that until I'm 40.
Yes.
And I saw my mom's progression. Like things go bad.
Everything falls apart when you're 40, right, Mags?
I get the gambit. I've had people literally tell me that I'm in my 40s, and I've also had people tell me that I'm in my 20s. So
yeah, but
I don't
you
care.
are timeless. You could pass
I don't care.
20s
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
it's Nadine. It's Nadine who's in her 40s.
well,
Nadine is my alter ego. For those
long time.
Nadine is my bleach blonde pre-color alter ego.
God, that was
very, very few people have gotten to meet Nadine, but she's
pretty magical. I'm not gonna lie.
You did go to Walmart at like 10 a.m. with Nadine to buy champagne.
That is probably the earliest that I've ever been to it was Target. It was not Walmart.
Target.
It was Target. Big difference.
Huge.
But yeah, I think it was Target. Or was it Walmart? I think it was Target. I'm pretty sure it was Target.
I don't know.
I don't know that I would have been open to go to Walmart. If it would have been like we had to, then we had to. But it was at BGG, so I don't know. Dallas.
It was probably Target.
I feel like it was. We also bought pink champagne.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's very important to buy pink champ.
Yeah.
It is. Pink Champs is a staple of the show.
Is that a thing? Do you call it champs? Do you call it champs? Is that
Campers.
Is that what the kids do?
That is the kids do. Oh, is this cocktail number 2?
Hey, look out. That's another cocktail right there.
Cocktail number 2 right there.
Cute.
I'm empty.
What's
worse?
worse? My non-alcoholic looks alcoholic right now. This is ginger ale.
I brought scotch. Scotch is my backup.
Oh,
Good backup.
a bottle of water, like a nerd.
The water like a nerd.
Okay, but now we have to know, how old is Gidget, Steph?
Oh.
Gidget is actually 10 years old as of this May.
Oh,
Yes,
Lord.
her and her sister Cashmere, who you never see because she's a behaved
We saw her once. We saw her.
cat. Maybe once, yeah. She is like much more behaved and not attention starved. They are both 10, and they're sisters.
My goodness.
Nice.
Yeah, they turned 10 in May. I got them at the end of June in 2006. So.
Oh my goodness.
I know, they are so little. So compact.
So we.
You would not be able to build a good cat tower out of them. Yeah, that's right. Board game segue.
I wouldn't even try.
You wouldn't even try. No, because they're so little.
Yeah. So, I think.
Is there any? Yeah, chat. Do you have any remaining questions for us before we? Is there anything you want us to do at Gen Con or at Gen Can't Do you have any suggestions, recommendations, things you want us to check out, things that you definitely want us to Periscope? Then you can let us know now, or you can tweet at us. You can leave comments on this video, because that really helps us out too. Give us a thumbs up if you liked this, or a thumbs down if you hated it, but I would prefer that you didn't. But because makes me
Also,
sad.
Suze, is the voting still open for the mascot? Can you link
Yeah.
it? Do you have a link?
Oh yeah.
Is a cantaloupe still an option?
Yes, a cantaloupe, the Jen Cant cantaloupe, which make it a name, right? Make it a name. Yeah, so we Meeple Source actually offered to create an official mascot for us this year.
I love them. They're so great.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing.
really
They're such great people. It's like it's literally a family business.
Yeah.
Like it's two brothers, a sister, and their parents, and they're all just really awesome. But
It's so amazing.
but they reached out to me and they're like, hey, we could do this. I'm like, that is amazing. So we have a little poll up on, you can go to gencant.com and look at the post about the mascot, and it'll give you a link where you can vote for what our mascot would be. And we actually sourced, because Gen Cant is very much about community, we actually sourced the ideas for the mascot from Twitter and BGG, and kind of some of the favorites landed on this thing that you can vote on. So I encourage you to vote. There is the toucant, the cantaloupe, the
I want them all. Can we have a toucan?
the pelican,
Can we have
the
all of the
Cantosaurus.
Yeah, tell me the source. We want them all.
Oh, okay. I'll get rid of it. I might
At
ask
Gen
them that.
Cant, everyone has their own mascot.
It's true. It's a good point. But if you vote, and it doesn't matter who you vote for, you don't have to vote for the winner or anything like that, you're actually entered to win a Meeple Source prize. So we'll just draw a random name from all the people who voted. And
I entered. I did.
yeah, and the top contenders are actually really, really close. So your vote does matter. So you can go to gencant.com, and check that out.
Ooh, that was a Freudian. So Beth Sobel wants to know if there are any local Seattle events that she can attend for Gen Cant.
Nobody has submitted one that I know of.
So
know
someone
of a
could
couple
hold one.
that are
Beth,
not publicly
could hold
open,
one.
but I will get Beth into one. No problem.
yeah, you could do one. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I love it.
That's the heart. That's the heart of Gen Cant.
Gin
It
Cant,
really
but
is.
Scotch can. So good. That's a test in itself. Like, that's perfect.
I
What better
don't
way
have
to
Snapchat.
end?
This 40-year-old me talking. Hi, hello. I don't have Snapchat.
I have a Snapchat, and I use it to look at pictures of Jake from Nicole, and my friend Dylan sends me pictures of his dog.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to add me on Snapchat and then send me pictures of their dog, I'm totally open.
That's great.
Oh my
I think that's a show. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what I could have done to avoid that. If anyone's like a Twitch broadcasting expert that could maybe figure out. Obviously, we're still broadcasting on YouTube, so obviously it's not my internet or anything like that. And again, I show actually 0 frames dropped, whereas last time we had a ton.
Weird.
So if you want to help, that would be so great if you know what was up, if there were other Twitch things that went down. I don't know. Yeah, but join us next time. So we are thinking tentatively, I would show the picture, but since we're not on XSplit broadcasting anymore, I can't do that. We are thinking tentatively this Saturday or the Friday after Gen Con. I don't know if we might surprise you with one next Friday, but most of us will be at Gen Con and we will be periscoping, probably doing something at Gen Con, but maybe not the formal official Games on the Rocks, because we don't want to do that without Suze again, because that broke our hearts. So.
I'm just saying, I have Nicholas in town with me next weekend.
Well, then we're doing
There might be
Games on the
something,
Rocks
maybe
next
Then
week.
we're gonna do it.
Or something
Then
that would
we're
require
gonna
them
do
to
it.
get into my filthy apartment, but that would be okay.
Then let's do it. Okay, then
Yeah.
Games on the Rocks.
We'll see what they are
This
thinking.
upcoming Friday, barring unforeseen circumstances, but we will join you again. Submit your cocktail ideas, because sometimes I rack my brain trying to think of them. And if you have any toasts, any like board game or gaming themed toasts, then we will feature them on the show and give you credit, of course. So again, tweet or leave comment on this video or like Facebook or whatever, you know. So with that, I think Mags, any last words?
Not from me.
Nicole,
Bye.
any last words from your upgraded fancy internet?
No, I'm all good.
Suze?
I hope everyone has a great weekend. Go vote for a Gen Can't mascot and go play lots of games this weekend because I have to work in my yard and won't get any games in. So play games for me.
I am gonna play some Guilds of London, so
I'm gonna learn Mare Nostrum Empires like
Ooh.
tomorrow. I'm so excited.
So that is another episode of On the Rocks. Join us every Friday-ish on twitch.tv/Meeples included. If we're having technical difficulties, you can join us here on YouTube because we will also be simultaneously live here. So glad that we are because that was our failsafe. And then, follow us on Twitch, like this video, follow us on YouTube, all of that good stuff. Thanks again for joining us, chat. You're awesome.
Thank you, everybody.